Hey, welcome to my channel, Psychotropic Release. Today I'm going to be talking about Changa. I say Changa, but I've heard Changa too. So before I get into what Changa is exactly and my experience last week taking mushrooms and Changa together, I want to say that I'm not encouraging the idea of taking psilocybin and DMT together. This video is not for encouragement. I'm simply sharing my experience and understanding for educational purposes. While I did make the choice to use mushrooms and DMT simultaneously, I did it in a ceremonial setting where I trusted the facilitators and the environment I was in. The facilitator that served me the DMT and mushrooms has years of experience, and again, I chose to take these psychedelics in a ceremonial practice where the psychedelic medicine is respected. Like all substances, there are always risks. Psychedelics have the great ability to be healing and mind expanding, but they come with psychological risks. So, if you're interested in hearing more about holistic mental health and psychedelics, you've come to the right place. I'd really appreciate if you could like this video and subscribe down below to stay tuned to upcoming videos. Alright, so last week I went to Samara, Costa Rica, where I participated in a Mayan ceremony, aka combining mushrooms with NN-DMT, or more specifically, Changa. But what is Changa exactly? While it's a smokable form of DMT, it is very different from 5-MeO-DMT, which is incredibly different from NN-DMT. Changa is NN-DMT, however, instead of free-base DMT, it is combined with numerous different smokable herbs. So, Changa is a blend of DMT and herbs such as mugwort, blue lotus, and mullein. Then the bee caapi vine is added, which is the same vine that is used in ayahuasca brews. Some people kind of compare it to ayahuasca, almost like the smokable ayahuasca, because it uses the same bee caapi vine as an MAO inhibitor, just like ayahuasca, yet the effects of Changa are different. While ayahuasca and Changa both contain NN-DMT and the vine as a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, the psychedelic effects are indeed different. Aya lasts 4 to 6 hours and can be very intense and strong, while Changa lasts about 15 minutes and is said to have a more gentle effect, which was my experience and my friend's experience as well, but I'll talk more about that later on in the video. I've gotten the idea that many people think of free-base DMT as the masculine energy, very intense, very strong. The onset is very quick, and it has the ability for you to just be like blasted into the universe. And Changa is seen as the more feminine energy, and while you could probably get completely blasted on Changa, it takes more hits and the come up is much more gentle and smoother. Nonetheless, Changa still has many properties like straight NN-DMT, where it can spark a near-death experience, ego dissolution, etc. However, I've heard that you're much more likely to encounter entities on free-base DMT. So no, I didn't see any of those DMT machine elves on my journey. Okay, so let's get into my experience. I get into the Maloka and I find my spot on the floor with my mat. I'm almost immediately given the mushroom chocolate to eat. Me and my family friend arrived super late to the ceremony, so it started really quickly, and I ate the mushroom chocolate. I wish I took a photo of it. It was so cute. It was shaped like a little angel and was like this big, and I was told the amount was about 2.5 grams, which I concur because, yeah, I had a lot of visual, so that sounds about right, like 2.5 grams. Then the ceremonial medicine music starts playing, it gets quiet, everyone's meditating, and waiting for the effects to come on. And about 20-30 minutes in, I smoked my first hit of Changa. The facilitator kind of snuck up on me, honestly. I feel like he appeared out of nowhere in the dark and asked if I ever smoked DMT before. I told him that I have, that I smoked 5 mAh DMT before, but never NN-DMT. And then he just brought up the vaporizer thing to my face, like immediately. And before I could fully process and think about what I was about to do, I just smoked it and took like the biggest hit I possibly could and tried to hold it in my lungs as long as I could. But this kind of caught me off guard because in a ceremonial setting, there tends to be more of a buildup. And I feel like it was just sprung on me. But I feel like that was kind of a good thing because I couldn't overthink or get anxious or overthink about what I was doing. So it just all happened really, really fast. So I held as much as the smoke in my lungs as I could. And after smoking it for the first time, I just felt super hot and sweaty and my heart was racing. And I lay down on my mat just to wait for the effects to come on. And I was completely expecting to be like blasted off into the universe and just completely lose it and be gone. But instead, I got this very strong surge of energy. I became super energetic and hyper, and all I wanted to do was run around and dance. And that's actually what ended up happening. The energy in the Maloka just got really, really dense and intense. And if you're not a spiritual person, I may just lose you here, and that's fine. But with the medicine, music, and everyone, tripping, just the vibration and the energy just felt very intense and alive. So what ended up happening was that me and a bunch of other women ended up dancing. And it's super weird because I felt super awake and alert mentally, but physically my body was so sluggish. So I just swayed back and forth a lot and moved my arms around. And at this point, I was pretty disoriented and was having really heavy visuals with both my eyes open and closed. And for a while, I just moved my body, listening to the music, and I closed my eyes, and I just saw the most abstract colors and shapes and patterns. And for the most part, it was super random visuals, and I really can't put it into words. It was just like pintas. If it was ayahuasca, you would call them pintas, like super abstract, beautiful colors that I was just seeing all over. However, at one point, I saw aliens. Yeah, like the little green alien guys that look just like this, the stereotypical green aliens, and it was just their heads, like all over my line of sight. So I guess you could say kind of saw DMT entities, but again, it was just their little green heads, and they didn't speak or move. It was literally just the green alien heads that you see on stickers and stuff, just like this. And then during my trip, I was staring at a light that was on the floor of the Maloka, and saw the face of a fetus, like a fetus in the womb. At one point, I ended up smoking Changa again, and it was more of the same, just tons of crazy, colorful, abstract visuals. And it was one of those trips where 1 second I'm crying and then laughing and then crying again, and I was smiling and then I was sad, and it was just kind of all over the place. And for a while, I just laid down with my eyes closed, enjoying the visuals and crying, like off and on crying and smiling. So to be honest, I can't tell if the visuals were mostly from the 2.5 grams of mushrooms or from the DMT. Obviously, it must have been both because I use them together, and I couldn't tell what was from the mushrooms and what was from the DMT itself, like which effect came from what. It obviously blended together. I want to say there was really no deep introspective thoughts or lessons that I received or downloads that they say. It really was just tons of visuals, both with my eyes open and closed, like I said. Another thing is that it was super disorienting. Like at times I'd be walking around or I'd get up. It's hard to explain, but the space around me just felt really difficult to navigate, and my balance was super off, and I was just very disoriented. And if I could use 2 words to describe this whole trip, I would just say it was heavy on the visuals and disorienting spatially and emotionally. I would definitely consider smoking Changa again, especially because I get the sense it is a nice introduction to smoking DMT if the common experience is that it's more gentle than freebase DMT. And I would like to smoke it alone rather than also using mushrooms at the same time, so I could really get the sense of what Changa is fully like. Now, in the mornings, we have breakfast with everyone, and the breakfast is always so fresh and so good, and I'm not gonna lie, it feels like a nice reward after being brave and doing plant medicine all night. And it's really nice to be able to sit down with everyone during a meal and talk about our experiences together. And I always end up making friends every ceremony that I more or less keep in contact with, which makes it really, really special. I have to say, one of the things I appreciate the most with plant medicine is the community. Like the community itself, the people are so warm and welcoming, and I feel so welcomed at every ceremony that I go to, and that feeling of belonging alone, I believe, really helps my mental health. And it's just really special to be able to have a psychedelic experience with tons of other people who are supporting you. It really makes a huge difference when it comes to the experience itself and the integration after the experience, and being able to be surrounded by a bunch of different people who support you and are on the same journey. And when I attend these ceremonies, I meet people every single time, who tell me their stories of how psychedelics have really helped with their anxiety and depression, which is always so nice to hear. And it's very encouraging for me as someone who started her psychedelic journey to heal and move past depression and anxiety. Anyways, if you are interested in learning more about the plant medicine center I go to here in Costa Rica that I've shown, feel free to email me at psychotropicrelease@gmail.com, and there I could privately give you more information. It is very affordable. The owner/founder is absolutely amazing, and the center offers many different plant medicines from ayahuasca, DMT, mushrooms, and bufo. I fully trust the founder and her intentions for creating this plant medicine center and the facilitators and shamans she works with. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel, where I will be talking more about psychedelics and holistic mental health.